Welcome to St. Lucie Public Schools Teacher of the Year Highlight Show. This is the opportunity that we take to celebrate educators, to celebrate education, as we introduce to our community some of the dynamic teachers that are making a difference in the lives of our children, thus our community each and every day. They represent the best of the best. 4,000 educators here in St. Lucie Public Schools, and we are just bringing you the creme de la creme. With that, I want to welcome to our show the amazing Miss Maria Peterson as we celebrate teachers. She's a dynamic Teacher of the Year over at Lincoln Park Academy. Miss Peterson, welcome.
Thank you so much.
She's brought along with her my good friend, Mr. Sanabria, Henry Sanabria, who's the proud principal over at Lincoln Park. Mr. Sanabria, welcome.
Welcome.
I'm excited to have this opportunity to speak with both of you. As a person who served as a Teacher of the Year for St. Lucie Public Schools, I'm excited that we work in a district that still celebrates educators and education. And one of the ways that we do that is by highlighting them on this annual Teacher of the Year celebration show. It gives us the opportunity to introduce just a few of our educators to our viewing audience. With that being said, would you briefly give us your educational bio as we let our audience begin to take a peek into your life?
Okay, yes, thank you so much. So I am Maria Peterson, and I've been at Lincoln Park for 9 years. I teach Spanish 9th and 10th grade.
Spanish 9th and 10th grade. Mm-hmm. Not a lot of Spanish here, but I will say que pasa.
That's good.
Thank you. See. Yes. Stop laughing at me, Mr. Sanabria. Mr. Sanabria, your background, please.
Well, as most people know, I've been in the district for about 18 years. Well, this was my 18th year. I am retired military and started my teaching career at Lincoln Park Academy as an English teacher and worked my way up, and I've been the proud principal of Lincoln Park Academy for the last 8.5 years. This will be my 9th year as principal there.
Proud principal. Thank you for your service as well. So, Ms. Peterson, tell me, how did you feel when you first found out that you were the Teacher of the Year for Lincoln Park Academy?
I know, it's so exciting because I've been there for 9 years. I can't believe it's, well, like 8.5, we started together. So it's, unreal because I still remember at my first year, so, it was very challenging, but to get to where I am today, I'm very happy and proud. And
I understand, and I'm sure that the staff and students are duly proud as well. Question for you. Have you always known that you wanted to be an educator?
No.
Oh.
I didn't, because I have a bachelor degree in business administration. I thought my path was something else, maybe start a business. And as I had my own children, I realized that I wanted to do something that it matched first, like our schedules. I want to be, part of their lives growing up as well. And so I decided to go for my master's in curriculum and instruction and specialize in Spanish. And it was the best decision because now, I wouldn't do anything else.
So you wouldn't do anything else. Have you had an opportunity to reflect and say, that teacher was probably one that inspired this change or this journey that I'm on now?
As I started teaching, I started thinking my teachers, but I can't really remember any of my elementary teachers, but one teacher stands out, my 3rd grade teacher, Mr. Darren. He was always he showed so much care for us. He always made the class so exciting, and so, he had this thing that you can sit at his desk. One student every day can sit, on his desk, and everybody wanted to be part of it because of just his excitement about teaching, and he made it so much fun. So he always comes to my head. So when I'm now in the classroom, I always think back of that, I wanna make that impact on students, and that in the future, they can remember, I learned so much in her class, and I had fun, doing it.
So what's your favorite part of teaching?
My favorite part is when the students have that a aha moment, we're dealing with all these topics, and all of a sudden, they ask a question, or they get this like, oh, like they get it, and it's like a click for them. So it's very exciting moment because it tells me like they are processing the information, and that's one thing in the classroom. And then for me, having them, because I have them 9th and 10th grade, so once they are seniors, we have all these great relationships. So even when they go into college, I get to hear from them, and that's also rewarding as well.
Mrs. Sanabria, you have the opportunity to watch Ms. Peterson work every day. Share with us your experiences.
Well, when you go into the classroom, it's not one of those classrooms where nothing is going on. There's always something going on, and there's pockets of things. There might be a group that's working over here together, collaborating on some type of task, while one or two individuals might be working individually, and then you've got chaos on the other side of the room, but it's organized chaos. And Ms. Peterson, she's walking around making sure that the students are getting what they're supposed to be getting, doing what they're supposed to be doing, and then ultimately she brings them all together and goes over what they were supposed to be doing. And it's a beautiful sight to see all the different pieces come together in the end, but that's the type of classroom that Ms. Peterson has.
In addition, teachers, those persons that become the Teacher of the Year are generally involved in other aspects of the campus. Share with us what we might find Ms. Peterson doing.
Well, Ms. Peterson has been a class sponsor. She's sponsored the junior class, has done things like organized and planned along with her class officers, senior prom, and does a wonderful job with that. She's quick to volunteer and assist other teachers and other class sponsors with any of the other events that might be going on. She loves hanging out with us at homecoming. She's the first to see the kids come in because she's always checking them in and making sure that they're right and looking right. And she does so many other things throughout the year, whether it's decorating, leading the charge on her floor, in her wing, for decorating during the holidays, or just simply being out there and making sure that kids are greeted and treated the way that they should be treated.
So, Ms. Peterson, share with me when you first fell in love with teaching.
First fell in love. Okay, so the first year, like I said, it was very challenging, which is for all the teachers that I talked to. But my second year, like towards the end, I got like a couple comments from some of the students, just like little feedback, unwanted feedback about, thank you for being so kind, thank you for helping me so much on this. And I started thinking, wow, like, I'm actually like doing like a good job, because it was only like my second year. So then those little comments that I knew some students were getting something from me, it kind of inspired me to be better. I wanted to give them everything that they need, and it just made me want to be, a better teacher for them.
Mr. Sanabria, what makes Ms. Peterson the perfect candidate for Teacher of the Year?
Well, I think, quite honestly, and I might be getting ahead of you, Doc, with this, but I'm going to use the 3 adjectives.
Go ahead.
In describing her, and that is her passion. 1, she's passionate about what she does. She loves what she does. And I'm sure you could all tell that by way of what she shared earlier. She has compassion for students. She's caring, she's motherly, and she can be stern when she needs to be. But ultimately, she is resilient. She has come a long way since we started together. And I've seen her take on challenges. Just this year alone, she got put in a situation where it was uncomfortable for her because she's a Spanish teacher, but she had an opportunity to teach something different that wasn't Spanish. and that was SAT prep for those students who were trying to get over the hump. And she took on that challenge. She was thinking about it, though. She was looking at it like, can I do this? Can I do this? But we wouldn't have given her that opportunity if we didn't think she could. And she took on that challenge, and she rose to the occasion.
Cool, cool. So he gave me 3 adjectives. He knew where I was going to go eventually. That's okay. If you had to tell me an educational hashtag for Maria Peterson, what's your hashtag?
Hashtag, always ask questions.
Tell me more about that. Always ask questions.
Okay. I think curiosity is the main thing of everything, right? We can never stop asking questions. And when students ask me, I always tell them, like, please ask me questions. If I said any questions, nobody says anything. I'm like, okay, please ask me. And through the years, now that we are 2 years together, they know not to be shy to ask or anything. Because I said, when you ask me, I know, like, the wheels are turning. I know you are processing this. And, that's the only way to learn. So if I had to tell them, never stop learning, never stop asking questions.
You are the educational ambassador for Lincoln Park Academy. Your selection as Teacher of the Year automatically qualifies you. If you had an opportunity to speak with community members, our school board members, what's your message to them about education?
Education. So we have to work together as a community, right? It starts from teachers, with the students, with the parents. We need the support from everybody for students to be successful. So we just be patient, be kind, and try to support each other. So we can be successful because not only teachers can do, not only parents, like we all have to work as a community.
Ms. Peterson, Mr. Sanabria, thank you so much for sharing with me. Congratulations on your selection as Teacher of the Year at Lincoln Park Academy. Best wishes for a great year.
Thank you so much, Dr. Pat.
We are St. Lucie Public Schools. We are accoladed, recognized, accredited, merited. We are innovators, builders, career-driven, future-forward leaders. We are community-focused, partners, mentors, contributors. We are historic, unique, extraordinary, admired. We are champions, energetic, competitive, game changers. We are artists, dancers, designers, musicians. We are diverse, inclusive, collaborative, empowering. We are caregivers, protectors, supportive, attentive. Today's learners, tomorrow's leaders. We are St. Lucie Public Schools. It's our pleasure at this time to welcome to our Teacher of the Year highlight, Mr. Joseph Curatolo, who's the wonderful Teacher of the Year over at Treasure Coast High School.
Thank you for having me.
And as we say at Treasure Coast, Titan born,
Titan bred.
Titan bred. He's brought along my good friend, Mr. Todd Smith, who's the wonderful, proud principal at TCHS. Mr. Smith, welcome.
Thank you.
It is indeed a pleasure for us to have this opportunity to speak with both of you. I know Mr. Smith knows Mr. Curatolo, but I was Teacher of the Year for St. Lucie Public Schools back in the dark ages, But what's cool about us doing this show is that our district is still wise enough to celebrate teachers, to celebrate education, to celebrate educators. And then through this show, we introduce you to our viewers who tune in to see what's going on in St. Lucie County. And it's just a highlight for us to be able to share just a few of our educators that represent the other 4,000 persons here that serve our students in our community every day. With that being said, would you give us a little bit of your educational background just to further introduce you to our viewers?
Sure. I am from Rochester, New York, and I went to Spencerport High School. I went to SUNY Fredonia to get my degree in Social Studies Adolescent Education, and then I got my master's degree at SUNY Brockport in U.S. and World History. After a little bit of time of substitute teaching, I found a job at Treasure Coast High School back in 2014, and I've been teaching there U.S. History and ACUS History for about 9 years or so.
Cool, cool. Mr. Smith, your background for me, please?
I attended St. Lawrence University in upstate New York, in Kent, New York, and we have the Western New York, and I'm the Northern New York person here. So we have it connected there, about 5 hours by car. I've known Mr. Curatolo for probably about 7 years. I had the opportunity to travel with him to recruit teachers back in, I think, 2014, 2015. We attended college workshops at Cortland State, University of Rochester, and I think Brockport State also to visit and bring people back to St. Lucie County to teach.
So, Mr. Curatolo, tell me, how did you feel when you first found out that you were the Teacher of the Year?
Shock, amazement. I was just so happy and everything. I was stunned at the time too, but I was very thankful and very grateful, especially for my students, because they're the ones that helped make me a great teacher. So the first thing I did after they told me is I thanked my students for everything that they did, and through communication-wise as well.
So have you always known that you wanted to be a teacher?
In some ways I have. I can recall back in 3rd grade, actually, my teacher, Mr. Nordquist, put a King Tut statue. He was a great history teacher, and I was just so fascinated with it, and he gave me so many articles to read and taught me about it. And then as the years progressed, I had great teachers that really influenced me as well. And my 11th grade teacher, Mr. Moon, who was my U.S. history teacher, told me, you know what, you would make a great history teacher, Mr. Curatolo. And I'm like, that sounds like a great idea. That sounds something like I always do, because I always try to teach history. I always get whatever facts I learn, and I let people know, my parents, my family, everything.
So what's your favorite part of being an educator, of teaching?
There's so many favorite parts that I have, but if I were to narrow it down, I would say that when I'm able to see a student take the information that I give them or help them with and succeed, that always is my favorite part, because it gives me such pride that they're able to persevere and understand the concepts that we try to teach and everything.
So you told us about those 2 teachers. Tell me, when you think about Joseph Curatolo, why are you really a teacher?
Well, I've thought about that, and mainly it's because I love helping children. I love helping them succeed, and teaching them history has also helped me make them into contributing members of society. Through history and through other aspects, they learn self-awareness of how the world revolves them, and the past, present, and future connects to them as well. And that's really why I teach, because it brings me such joy to see them develop such contextual awareness.
Cool. Mr. Smith, you have the opportunity to watch Mr. Curatolo every day. Share with us your experiences with him and his teaching.
Mr. Curatolo brings history to life. He makes it relevant in all settings. He makes it relevant in all classes. He connects with every student. It could be a student that may present some academic challenge, or a student that's moving to an Ivy League university, that he's able to bring it to life for them, and they're able to connect and have active engagement and enthusiastic discussions.
So with that being said, if he's the Teacher of the Year, that means he does more than just stay in his classroom. What else might we find Mr. Curatolo involved with?
Oh, I'll need a list to check them all off. But he's a teacher mentor. He's a department chair. He served as a wrestling coach. He sponsors the debate team at Treasure Coast High School. He sponsors the National Honor Society at Treasure Coast High School. And he's active participant in the fine arts. He's at all the plays. He's at the performances for the band. He's at athletic contests. So he's an administrator in training, meaning that he works the 16-hour days that we all do.
Oh, cool, cool. So, Mr. Curatolo, if you had an opportunity to give advice to a first-year teacher, being a teacher mentor, what would you share with them?
I think about my first year teaching, and I would say the advice I would give is always be self-reflective, and always be knowing that not everything will go according to plan. There's no such thing as a perfect lesson, and adaptability is key. And if things don't go your way, your lesson or anything else in the classroom, it takes time. And at the same time, also, adaptability is the teacher's best friend right there.
So over the last few years, we have all evolved and grown in some form or fashion. How have you evolved as an educator over the past few years?
By expanding particularly my educational strategies, giving in new innovative techniques, and trying to learn from the students as they learn from me as well. I always get new experiences with new students each and every year from different backgrounds, from different, whether, as you said, some that are on their way for Ivy League or some that have academic challenges. But it's taught me a lot about, being patient, as well as helping them out in other areas where some students have some strengths, some students have strengths in other areas. So a form of differentiated instruction.
So, Mr. Smith, describe Mr. Curatolo for me with 3 adjectives.
Number 1, I'll use this term. He's very reflective. Number 2, he teaches you his history, so he's courageous. And number 3, he's dynamic, because anytime you walk through his hallway, you don't know if you're going to see Mr. Curatolo or Teddy Roosevelt walking in the classroom doing actual live presentations.
Okay, I was kind of, explain that for me.
Well, when we get to that part of the lesson of progressivism in U.S. history, Teddy Roosevelt is known as the progressive president. He's one of my favorite presidents, if not the favorite president of mine. So I will go all out and dress up and reenact him in the classroom to bring it to life. I'll even go as far as to shave most of my beard to keep the mustache, because he's got the infamous mustache too, and go into his progressive policies from the Antiquities Act all the way to the Square Deal.
So are you sure you're not an elementary teacher? Elementary teachers dress up. We don't dress up in high
Well, there's
school.
some things, that with elementary teachers can work in high school as well.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And the kids love it, and it draws them in, and it draws them in for engagement, and they pay a lot more attention. They do not forget those lessons at all.
Cool. Yeah, yeah. So tell me this. Mr. Smith just described you with 3 words. If I ask Joseph Curatolo, to give me an educational hashtag, his educational hashtag, what's your hashtag and why?
I would have to say hashtag innovative, because I always try to provide some new way to bring history to life to the kids. And whether it's a debate or whether we are reenacting some sort of historical play or some sort of historical significance, or doing propaganda projects for World War I, something that draws in different strengths for different students, so that way they can succeed.
Mr. Smith, tell me, what makes Mr. Curatolo the perfect candidate for Teacher of the Year?
Because he connects with all individuals on campus, from individuals in food service to individuals in custodial services, to individuals in the front office, to individuals in all the students and all the staff. And he just makes people recognize that they matter. He attends to their needs, and he makes it a great place to work.
Mr. Curatolo, when did you first fall in love with teaching?
Well, I would definitely say my first year of teaching at Treasure Coast High School. That is when I really fell in love, because I was first time able to step inside my own classroom, have my own students who, after the year was over, was telling me how appreciative they were of the different techniques and the way that I was so calm and patient with them and to help them understand. And that's when I knew it was such a rewarding career right there, and such a rewarding job.
Over the past few years, we have all evolved, as we've mentioned earlier. We've all grown. What continues to fuel you to go and be that teacher?
Well, I always held myself up to a high standard, and I always feel the need to be self-reflective and keep growing as a teacher, because there is no such thing as the perfect teacher. So the perfect teacher is someone that can keep growing, keep an open mind, keep learning from others, from administrators, from students, from parents, from other teachers. And that's what's really helped me grow over these years and continue to grow, is that with new faces and new people that come into the school, I know that I can learn from them as they can learn from me.
I'm going to give you a prompt and ask you to finish the prompt. And you don't necessarily have to think about Joseph Curatolo as an educator, but just as a person. I believe with a willingness to work, anybody, whether it's a student, teacher, or anyone else, can drive for success and learn. You are automatically the ambassador for education at Treasure Coast. You have an opportunity to speak to our school board members, community members. What's your message?
My message would be that in terms of a community, St. Lucie County has done well to connect parents and students, and that we continue to thrive, we continue to communicate, and I'd like to continue seeing a growth mindset for everyone within the community for an outreach in that manner.
Thank you both for joining me. Thank you for sharing with me. Congratulations on your selection as the Teacher of the Year for Treasure Coast High School.
Thank you.
And I'm just going to ask both of you to say it with me. Titan born,
Titan bred.
bred.
Thank you, Dr. Perry.
Thank you. We are St. Lucie Public Schools. We are accoladed, recognized, accredited, merited. We are innovators, builders, career-driven, future-forward leaders. We are community-focused, partners, mentors, contributors. We are historic, unique, extraordinary, admired. We are champions, energetic, competitive, game changers. We are artists, dancers, designers, musicians. We are diverse, inclusive, collaborative, empowering. We are caregivers, protectors, supportive, attentive. Today's learners, tomorrow's leaders. We are St. Lucie Public Schools. It is my pleasure to welcome to our Teacher of the Year highlight section at this time, Mr. Mark Hillebrandt, who's the wonderful Teacher of the Year over at Dan McCarty Middle School. Mr. Hillebrandt, welcome.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to share with you today.
Glad
He's
to be
brought
here.
along my good friend, Miss Latricia Stubbs James, my homegirl from Georgia, who's the dynamic principal there. Miss Stubbs James, welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Perry. Thank you.
Miss Stubbs James, Mr. Hillebrandt, I'm excited. I always am. I was the Teacher of the Year for St. Lucie Public Schools many moons ago. But what's exciting is that we live in a district, we work in a district that is still celebrating teachers and educators. And in doing so, we have this opportunity through this highlight show to introduce some of our wonderful teachers to our viewers because they represent the 4,000 educators that are here in the district. And that, to me, that is still exciting in this day and time. With that being said, Mr. Hillebrandt, would you briefly give us a little bit about your educational bio as we introduce you to our viewers?
Okay, sure. I'm from upstate New York. I went to high school in Gloversville, New York by Albany, and I went to college at Oswego State, and I went for business administration. I've only been a teacher for 7 years. I'm a career changer. Like I said, I went for business administration. I spent 13 years in the restaurant industry as a general manager and area director, and made the switch. Really glad I did. I've been at Dan McCarty in 6th grade science for all 7 years, and I love it, and I would never want to change my role as the 6th grade science teacher because I really enjoy the material I teach and the subject and the grade level.
Cool, cool. You got away from all that snow too, didn't you? Ms. Stubbs James, your educational bio, please.
I am a graduate of Savannah State University in Savannah, Georgia. There I earned a degree in political science, and then from there I began my teaching career in Georgia. I transitioned to Florida, and in doing so I began my teaching career at Dan McCarty Middle School as a teacher and then an instructional coach. And then I went on to be the part of the first elite cohort in St. Lucie Public Schools, and from there I transitioned to an assistant principal and now a principal at Dan McCarty Middle School.
Great, great, great. It's a pleasure to have this chance to speak with you and share your journeys and a little bit about you with our viewers.
Ms. Stubbs was my mentor my very first year at Dan McCarty. Middle
Cool,
School, so.
cool. A great mentor there.
Yes.
So tell me, Mr. Hillebrandt, how did you feel when you first found out that you were the Teacher of the Year for Dan McCarty?
Excited, surprised, proud to know that my coworkers thought that much of me to vote me as the Teacher of the Year, and I really am passionate about Dan McCarty, so I'm excited to be the representative for Dan McCarty because I'm an Eagle. I love it there.
Eagle soar, Eagle soar.
They do.
You told me that you were a career changer, and you told me that you love it. When you think about your passion now, being a career changer and being at Dan McCarty, teaching a subject that you adore, do you think, in reflecting, that there might have been someone that kind of inspired you or in the back of your mind now that you think about it?
Yeah. Well, I grew up. My mother was a 2nd grade teacher. She was a teacher for 30 years, and so I always would go to her classroom growing up and seeing the joy that she had for teaching. I started college wanting to be a history teacher, and then I switched to the business administration, and then my girlfriend of 21 years, she's been a teacher all along as well. So I got to see how much she had been enjoying it while I was in the restaurant industry, and finally I just decided to and it's now or never. I was 37 years old, and I made the change, and I'm glad I did.
Cool, cool, cool. So what's your favorite part of teaching?
My favorite part of teaching is that there is not just one thing. I can wear many hats. I can do many things. It's never boring. There's the educational piece. There's the data piece. There's the operational piece. So I enjoy making a to-do list and working many roles. I'm the science fair coordinator, so I do the science projects, which we have coming up January 13th, and I'm the science department head. I'm the team leader. So there's all these different aspects that I can keep myself busy with and never have things get dull.
So, Ms. Dove James, you have the opportunity to see the magic happen every day. Share with us what life's like in his class when you visit.
So Mr. Hillebrand is a phenomenal teacher. And one of the things that I cherish most about going into his classroom is that in his classroom, you're going to always see that he has a clear set of expectations for his students. From the time they walk into his classroom until the time that they leave, they have clear directions, clear instructions, and they know the processes and procedures in his classroom. They could probably run the classroom just as well as he can because he set some of those foundational pieces in place. They do everything with technology. He has everything uploaded to Canvas, very organized. He is also a person that really takes pride in the behavior management side of his classroom. So his kids are very well behaved, and because of that, his instruction is superior to none. I mean, he really does a phenomenal job in his classroom. And his data also indicates that through unit assessments and things of that nature, that his students really have an understanding of the science content.
So, Mr. Hillebrand, if you had an opportunity to share with a first-year teacher, what advice would you give to them?
Don't be afraid to scrap everything and try a new strategy. I mean, I spent a lot of time making my handbook to what it is when this stuff states that I was extremely frustrated. Couldn't get the students to go along with my game plan or behave, and just reflecting, what did I do? What do I need to do? How do I need to arrange my room? What strategy is going to make them more engaged? How do I make them want to be here more? And trial and error. Just
Okay.
be patient. It's going to take a little while to
It does take
master
that.
it.
It does take that. Over the course of the last few years, we have all changed. We've all evolved. How do you think you have evolved in the last few years as an educator?
Well, I'm always trying to update my lessons to keep it engaging, and with the pandemic, I really took in the Canvas and the Nearpod, and I thought it was such a great thing that I tried to tie that in with my direct instruction to kind of just make it a part of my classroom. So each and every day, adapting to the new technology and the new strategies that we have is what.
So, Ms. Dove James, describe Mr. Hillebrand for me using 3 adjectives.
3 adjectives to describe Mr. Hillebrand. I would say poised, passionate, and professional. And I say those 3 things because Mr. Hillebrand, he mentioned earlier that he wears many hats. And in those many hats, you have to be professional in your approach to not only students, but then your colleagues. And the fact that they decided that he should be our Teacher of the Year is evident that they think of him as a consummate professional. And so that is the first thing that I would think about. And then when I think about passionate, Mr. Hillebrand does everything with passion, whether it be monitoring the hallway, classroom instruction, creating or facilitating any type of science fair projects. He does everything with passion. A little known fact about Mr. Hillebrand is that he does our science fair. He's a science fair coordinator, as he mentioned, and over Thanksgiving break, he helped students by teaming them to go over their science fair projects and make sure that they were prepared and that they were ready. And he also orchestrates a special program for those students to make sure that they're recognized for their accomplishments and their achievements. And then he actually goes through their science fair project with a fine-tooth comb to make sure that it is a great representation of Dan McCarty Middle School. And so because of that, I would definitely say he is very passionate about science and anything that we ask him to do. Being that this is a new year, a new administrative team, we've asked Mr. Hillebrand to do a lot of things and to wear many more hats than the ones that we just described. He goes under that duties as assigned piece, and he does everything that we ask, and he does it with perfection. And so we are excited that he's actually going to be recognized for all of the work that he does at Dan McCarty.
Mr. Hillebrand alluded to some of the extra things that he was doing. What else might we find him involved in that helps the campus be the awesome campus that it is?
Mr. Hillebrand, during planning, when he's about to transition and go into his planning period, you will find him outside making sure that transitions are run smoothly. You're going to find him in the dean's office talking to students. You're going to find him participating in any of our PBIS activities, whether that be dodgeball, basketball, any of those types of things. He's in charge of our science fair projects, so you're going to see him there with science. Also being able to take the lead and help with remediation for our 8th grade science students as well. So you're going to find him in a myriad of, he's also in the cafeteria helping with cafeteria duty. Whatever Mr. Hillebrand can do to make sure that our school functions at its highest capacity, he's going to do. He is my whisper teacher because he's always whispering in my ear, hey, did you recognize this? Did you notice that? Sending me an email, hey, this transition doesn't look right. Can we look into that? And I really appreciate that because not only does it show me that he's passionate about the school, but it also shows me that he's a person that looks at those finer details to make sure that everything goes the way that it is supposed to go. And so because of him, he's the, did you remember this? Did you see this? Did you notice this? And so those are the things that I bring up to my team when we have leadership meetings, because I say, if a teacher noticed that, then that's something that we need to fix systematically, because he's able to spot that immediately.
Cool, awesome. So, your 3 words that she used to describe you, but I'm going to flip the script and ask you, if you had to have an educational hashtag for Mr. Mark Hillebrand, what would your hashtag be?
Hashtag consistency.
Hashtag consistency, which is what you are every day, right?
Absolutely.
Cool. So,
Absolutely.
So, Ms. Stubb James, what makes Mr. Hillebrand the perfect candidate for Teacher of the Year?
I think that Mr. Hillebrand is the perfect candidate for Teacher of the Year because when you think about what a teacher has to do and all of the things that a teacher has to do, Mr. Hillebrand, he is a model of that. He is going to be the one, he's not going to take off of work. He's going to be there. He's going to be consistent with whatever he does in his practices, and all of that makes him a phenomenal candidate for Teacher of the Year.
So, Mr. Hillebrand, let's wrap it up.
Okay.
You are the ambassador for education at Dan McCarty, having an opportunity to speak to many different people about many things, but they want to hear what you think about education. What's your message?
Exciting, fulfilling. Sit back and be excited that you have the opportunity to do it, because there's not a better job out there.
Awesome.
Career job.
Career, I get it. I understand. It's sometimes interchangeable for us. Thank you both. Thank you both for joining me to share and allowing us to introduce you to our viewing audience. Congratulations on your selection as Dan McCarty's Teacher of the Year.
Thank you.
We are St. Lucie Public Schools. We are accoladed, recognized, accredited, merited. We are innovators, builders, career-driven, future-forward leaders. We are community-focused, partners, mentors, contributors. We are historic, unique, extraordinary, admired. We are champions, energetic, competitive, game changers. We are artists, dancers, designers, musicians. We are diverse, inclusive, collaborative, empowering. We are caregivers, protectors, supportive, attentive. Today's learners, tomorrow's leaders. We are St. Lucie Public Schools. We're excited at this time to welcome to our Teacher of the Year highlight show, Janet Sievers, who's a wonderful Teacher of the Year at Village Green Elementary School. Welcome.
Welcome and thank you. What a great afternoon to see everybody.
Yes, we're going to have a great time. It's a pleasure to have this time to speak with you as well. She's brought along the very dynamic principal at Village Green, Dr. John Leslie. Dr. Leslie, welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Perry.
We are always excited, Ms. Sievers, when we do this show. Number one, I get to host, and I was the Teacher of the Year for St. Lucie Public Schools many moons ago. But because we work in a district that's still smart enough, wise enough to celebrate educators and education, in doing this show, we have the great opportunity to introduce some of our teachers, some of the educators, to our many viewers because you represent the 4,000 people that work in the district. With that being said, would you give us just a little bit about your educational bio as we begin to introduce you to our audience?
Okay, mine started quite a few years ago. I was raised in New York, so I graduated high school out of New York, Tappan Zee High School. From there, I went on to the SUNY system, State University of New York, graduated SUNY New Paltz for my undergraduate work, majored in elementary education, child study, stayed in New York and started teaching in New York City and did my master's at the College of New Rochelle and did a master's program in special education with a concentration in learning disabilities. So I've taught in New York City, I've taught in Florida, and I have taught in the state of Pennsylvania. I've been in the Pocono Mountains.
Cool, cool. So how long have you been with us?
I started here in St. Lucie County back in 1991. I stayed until 2006, to which then I went to the Pocono Mountains for a little while, came back around 2013.
Cool.
And I've been here ever since.
Great, great, great. Dr. Leslie, a little bit about your background, please.
Sure. Well, I'm originally from Chicago, so I'm a non-Floridian by birth. However,
That's all three of us.
that's very true. So I'm from Chicago, but most of my schooling was done there. Graduated, went to the military. I spent about 11 years in the military, and then through the military, used my GI Bill to return back to school. My mother, who was a retired educator, had a heavy influence on my background. So I took biochemistry as a major, but ended up in education. So I've taken many education classes and matriculated through those systems here in Florida, actually. So I call myself a Floridian now.
Okay, okay. So, Ms. Sievers,
Yes.
how excited were you when you found out that you were the Teacher of the Year?
I think pretty surprised. They walked in the door and my mouth hit the floor.
Cool, cool.
It was a nice surprise though.
Nice surprise. It generally is a nice surprise. So, have you always known that you wanted to be an educator?
Yes, and I know a lot of people say this, but it was so true for me. I could remember as far back as second grade wanting to be a teacher. And I know everybody at that age level, say teacher, fireman, policeman, whatever we've been taught in school, but it was true for me. I would go home at the end of the day and on the weekends. I have younger siblings, and I would play school with them and the neighbors. One who still works here in this building for the St. Lucie County School District. And
Are we calling names?
I would actually make worksheets, teach them how to write their names, teach them simple math. So I feel like I've been doing this since a very young age, and I never thought of anything else in my life to be. This was always going to be it.
So, as you look back over your life as an educator, is there someone that you think is an inspiration for what you do?
I'm gonna have to go back to being in second grade. I just admired that teacher so much and looked up to her. I don't know how much of an inspiration, but I definitely emulated her. I looked up to her, and I tried to do everything that she was doing with everybody else in the neighborhood.
Awesome.
But I definitely do remember those days, yes.
Great, great, great. What's your favorite part of teaching?
The children. It's always the children. You do it for the children. That's why you're here. The look on their faces, when they get something that you didn't think they would get, that aha moment, questions that they'll ask. I don't know the answer, find out, and they come back and give you the answer because they really care. So it's always been for the children. I've had a big part of my background in special education too, and they just take my heart. And just teaching them their daily skills and watching them grow. It's the looks on their faces that make the difference.
Great. Dr. Leslie, you have the opportunity to watch Ms. Severs in action every day. Explain to us what you see.
I see a professional, someone who has spent many hours on her craft, making sure, and when we say that as educators, we are not speaking of those acronyms that the business world would use, but I mean like those personal relationships that she has with kids. So just in watching her around the campus, just knowing everyone's name, being able to connect with every child. I can put her in any position around campus and know that she will succeed. Like those are the types of things that we cherish in an educator, and I'm proud to be on her team.
So we know if Ms. Severs is the Teacher of the Year for Village Green, she's doing some of everything. Share with us some of the other areas that we might find her involved in at Village Green.
Absolutely. So one of my favorite stories is I have a news channel that I watch in the morning, and so Ms. Severs, I was thinking it, so the news channel came on and said that they were going to open up the opportunity for schools to have the weather person come to the school. I thought it, I said, I'm going to see how we can get her to come to the school. I arrived at school that morning. Ms. Severs had already booked her coming to the school. So those are some of the things. She's in the cafeteria monitoring students. She's walking students back and forth through the hallway. If need be, she will tutor students on campus.
Ms. Severs, what advice would you give or do you give to someone thinking about becoming an educator or maybe first-year teachers?
It's not easy, but don't give up. The rewards are there, and you might not see them right away, but they will come. And I think that comes from my special ed background, where we'll do the same things over and over to get a child to succeed, and you might not see it at the end of that first day, but they will come.
How do you think you have evolved over the past 3, maybe 4 years as an educator?
Pivoting. I'm able to, I'm a structured person. I like my structure, I like my routine, I like my schedule. But if something happens, we pivot on a dime, and I can do that. I've learned to do that no problem. I work with an awesome team at Village Green. And if one of them is suddenly out, something happens, I need to do this, can you cover this? We're gonna do this today, not a problem. I've learned to just accept it, go with the flow, and what I had planned doesn't happen, but something else great is gonna happen today. And it does.
Dr. Leslie, describe Ms. Severs for me with 3 adjectives and tell me why.
Okay. Love the twist. Dedicated, responsible, honest.
Okay.
She's dedicated because, as we mentioned, we're a smaller staff. So if I ask her to do something, she's going to do it, and she's going to do it with fidelity. I have no background thoughts on what's going to happen. I know exactly what's going to happen. She's going to knock it out of the park. Responsible, I say, what were the 3 I used? I could use so
You
many
said
more.
responsible.
I'm sorry.
You said
so
responsible.
Because she's where she's supposed to be, even if no one directed her there. She's very self-directed. So self-directed people are always where they're supposed to be, even if we don't know it. There may be something that they anticipate happening, and they're there. So when it happens, they're in that spot, and I can appreciate that she's always that person. And then what was my last
Honest.
one? Honest. I can always depend on her to give me honest feedback. And as administrators, we need those types of people that can tell us, I understand where you're coming from with this, but perhaps we might look at another way. And so I can always depend on her to be the spokesperson and come to me and tell me those types of things.
So, Ms. Severs, 3 adjectives from Dr. Leslie. Dedicated, responsible, honest. If you had to sum Janet Severs up in one educational hashtag, what would your hashtag be?
My hashtag would have to be the schedule person. I like my schedule. I know where I have to be when I have to be there. Maybe schedule flexible, because again, I will turn and do what I have to do. But I think the structure for the students is what I give them, because that's what I need in my life, is the structure and know where I'm going and what I'm doing.
So, Dr. Leslie, what makes Ms. Sievers the perfect candidate for Teacher of the Year?
Ms. Sievers is a model for educators all across the nation. So in our county, we have many people that would meet some particular criteria, but in this case, this is my person because she accelerates in all of the categories that we ask a person to at least meet. And so when we're asking someone to be responsible, to be dedicated, to be honest, to be trustworthy with our children, that model is Ms. Sievers. And so that's why she's our nominee for the school. And we put forth our best person. And absolutely, hands down, this year, Ms. Sievers is that person.
Awesome. Thank you. So, Ms. Sievers, as the Teacher of the Year, you are the ambassador for education at Village Green. You have an opportunity to speak to many different people. Could be parents, community members, school board members. Superintendent may even show up. What's your message? 60 seconds. You know your elevator speech. What's your message?
This is our future. Invest in them. Take care of them, nurture them, give them everything that you can. Put a book, I'm a librarian, put a book in their hands. Start early, build that foundation, and let's take it from there. My saying to my students have always been, we're gonna reach for the stars. Always tell them that. If we land on the moon, that's not a bad thing. We've made it somewhere, but we're always gonna reach further and further, and the further we can go, the better it is.
Awesome. Thank you to both of you, Mrs. Sievers, Dr. Leslie, for joining me today. Congratulations on your selection as Teacher of the Year at Village Green. We're looking for major things down there with you. Have a great year.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Dr. Perry.
We are St. Lucie Public Schools. We are accoladed, recognized, accredited, merited. We are innovators, builders, career-driven, future-forward leaders. We are community-focused, partners, mentors, contributors. We are historic, unique, extraordinary, admired. We are champions, energetic, competitive, game changers. We are artists, dancers, designers, musicians. We are diverse, inclusive, collaborative, empowering. We are caregivers, protectors, supportive, attentive. Today's learners, tomorrow's leaders. We are St. Lucie Public Schools. We are pleased at this time to welcome to our highlight show Jessica Chauvin, the wonderful Teacher of the Year at Mosaic Digital Academy. Ms. Chauvin, welcome.
Hi.
She's brought along with her the very dynamic principal, founding principal of Mosaic Digital Academy, Ms. Jean Zimba. Ms. Zimba, welcome.
Thank you.
Ladies, we're excited because we still in St. Lucie Public Schools celebrate teachers, education, and educators. As a previous Teacher of the Year, I get excited having the opportunity to talk to all of these persons that represent the brightest and best that we have here in our school district. With that being said, Ms. Chauvin, would you briefly give us your educational bio as we introduce you to our audience?
Yep. I'm Jessica Chauvin. I grew up in Michigan. I went to Adrian College in Adrian, Michigan. There I studied education with a major in math and a minor in French. And I studied abroad. And then I came down here a year after I graduated, and I started working at Fort Pierce Central for 6 years, and then Mosaic Digital Academy this is my 4th year at Mosaic Digital Academy.
Studied abroad.
Just in Quebec.
Okay.
But yeah, it was still kind of scary, but I learned a lot and I had a really great experience there.
Awesome, awesome. Ms. Zimba, your introduction, please.
My name is Jean Zimba. I have been working in St. Lucie County since 1992. I was a classroom teacher, and then I enjoyed a nice career as a librarian in our schools, and then went into the instructional technology, and then in this role for the past 11 years as the principal for Mosaic Digital Academy.
Don't you love how those titles of those jobs change from librarian to media specialist?
I really did love the librarianship, so I'm going to keep it as librarian.
All right, all right. So, Ms. Chauvin, how did you feel when you first found out that you were the Teacher of the Year at Mosaic?
I was really excited and super pumped that my colleagues thought so highly of me to represent Mosaic Digital Academy. We have a super unique program at Mosaic where we get to actually watch our kids grow up. This is only my 4th year, but I get to teach 7th, 8th, and Algebra 1 at Mosaic. So I get to see those kids grow up, and I think it's a really great opportunity at Mosaic, and I was just super excited that my colleagues thought so highly of me.
Have you always known that you wanted to be an educator?
Funny story. So Miss Linton, who is also a teacher now at Mosaic, we made this plan in middle school that we were going to be teachers. She was actually going to be the English teacher, but now she's the science teacher. So I kind of took that path just because I liked helping people at school when I was younger, and I really wanted to fulfill that. That filled my bucket for me. So I like helping people. So I took my career path in education.
When you reflect, do you think that there's someone along the way that inspired your choice and your decision to educate?
Yes, definitely. So when I was in 3rd and 4th grade, I had this teacher. She followed us from 3rd to 4th grade, Miss Colano. She made me pumped about math, super excited about math, because she had, and I'm a super foodie, so she had this like ice cream scoops for multiplication chart on her board, and every time you get to move, like when you master your multiplication chart, you get to go up, and then everybody mastered their 12s, we got to have an ice cream social. So I was like, that is awesome. I want to make kids like excited about math and feel good in the classroom and get excited for something. So
Ms. Zimba, in your very unique role as principal at Mosaic Digital Academy, you get to share and see what's happening with Ms. Chauvin on a regular basis. Give us some insight.
Well, when I'm in one of her classes, either live or during a recording, it's hard not to see smiles and hear laughter. During math, that's awful curious, I can say. But those kids are really enjoying themselves. Ms. Chauvin's enjoying herself teaching middle school students and high school students math. That's something that I'm pushing in my chair, and I'm going to keep watching and see what's going to happen. I'm seeing students engaged doing math more than the teacher talking, which is great. Ms. Chauvin shows the students so many different ways to engage as a virtual learner. And that's fantastic to see. So I'm seeing that laughter, I'm seeing the engagement, I'm seeing students doing math.
In your unique situation, again, we know that staff members do more than just teach their classes. It's necessary to help the school operate. What else might we find Ms. Chauvin doing to help Mosaic Digital Academy?
Well, Ms. Chauvin is our department leader for math. That's kind of hard not to appoint her for that. She's very, very good at really directing the math department and supporting the math teachers, and it's all of the math teachers from kindergarten all the way through high school, so it's a pretty tall order that she's able to fulfill that very, very well. Other things that she does, she really looks for ways for students to be engaged outside of school. We actually look for different ways to have meetups for students because we know that that's good for their well-being. So we're always looking for ways for them to do that. Ms. Chauvin's always on board for coming up with some unique ways for kids to get together, and they're always turning it into a lot of fun. And I think the parents have a lot of fun too. That's pretty much the role, but I think one of the things that's super unique is that Ms. Chauvin's been in this role for 4 years, but she's been a teacher, teaching longer than that, and I think that her expertise is really very supportive for all of the teachers. It doesn't even matter if it's math or if it's an elective or even Spanish. She's supporting those teachers in such unique ways.
Ms. Chauvin, you're the team lead, but in your unique role, you have an opportunity to share with many people. If you have a first-year teacher or someone thinking about becoming an educator, what advice would you share?
My advice for new teachers and just teachers in general is don't take it personally. You might be that kid's shoulder to cry on that day or punching bag. Students come with us happy, sad, emotional, and don't take it personally. They'll hate you one day and they'll love you the next, and you're just there for them and love them every day.
Mrs. Zimba, 3 adjectives that describe Ms. Chauvin.
Obviously tenacious. She sets a goal, and it doesn't matter what the what the challenges are, Ms. Chauvin is going to use that tenacity to get that goal met. She does that in her profession. She does that, you know, with her colleagues and with students. She is really very tenacious. She's also very fun-loving. I think you can see that. She's fun-loving with her colleagues and with her students, and throughout the lessons you can see that that is definitely true. And she's highly engaging. That is 100% Ms. Chauvin.
So, Ms. Chauvin, we have tenacious, fun-loving, and highly engaging. So, if you were asked, and I'm asking, you to give us an educational hashtag that describes, encompasses Jessica Chauvin, what would your hashtag be?
Well, my students already made me a hashtag, so I'm going to use it. They say ASAP Chauvin. I like things done as soon as possible. And I like you to master what you need to master as soon as you can, and I will help you every single step of the way through it.
Awesome. Hashtag ASAP Chauvin.
Yep.
Gotcha. Ms. Zimba, what makes Ms. Chauvin the perfect candidate for Teacher of the Year?
Ms. Chauvin really does embody what an educator needs to be today. Today we have such unique challenges. You know, coming through the pandemic was one thing, but now we're on the other side of it. We're just experiencing things a little differently. Ms. Chauvin just seems to really get it. She knows that we can't miss a beat, that we need to make sure that we're, you know, focusing on the students' needs that are in front of us and make, you know, solutions. That's all we're looking for, solutions. And, you know, we're not looking for problems, we're looking for those solutions. And that's Ms. Chauvin.
Awesome. Ms. Chauvin, giving you a prompt, and I want you to finish the prompt. The world needs.
The world needs more community and less distractions. We need,
Go ahead, yeah.
sorry. As a community, we need to come together. I always say, well, I don't always say it, but I heard a saying, strengths lie in differences, not in similarities. And I feel like less distractions. Let's put down our phones and be present in the moment.
There was a song that says, let's put away our differences and let's all be friends. Yeah, awesome song. So you are the educational ambassador for Mosaic Digital Academy as their Teacher of the Year. You have an opportunity to speak to legislators, to the superintendent, parents. What's your message?
My message for everybody would be, again, let's build a better community. Let's explore people's differences and highlight those differences to come together to be better.
Ms. Chauvin, Ms. Zimba, thank you for joining me. It's been a pleasure speaking with both of you. Congratulations on your selection as Teacher of the Year at Mosaic, and best wishes for an awesome year.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Yes. We are St. Lucie Public Schools. We are accoladed, recognized, accredited, merited. We are innovators, builders, career-driven, future-forward leaders. We are community-focused, partners, mentors, contributors. We are historic, unique, extraordinary, admired. We are champions, energetic, competitive, game changers. We are artists, dancers, designers, musicians. We are diverse, inclusive, collaborative, empowering. We are caregivers, protectors, supportive, attentive. Today's learners, tomorrow's leaders. We are St. Lucie Public Schools. Please help us welcome to our Teacher of the Year highlight right now, Miss Diane Hughes, who's a wonderful Teacher of the Year at Lakewood Park Elementary School. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
She's brought along the very awesome principal of Lakewood Park as well, Kathleen Melrose. Welcome, Ms. Melrose.
Thank you. Great to see you.
I'm excited to have this chance to speak with you. I don't know if you know Ms. Hughes, but I was the Teacher of the Year for St. Lucie Public Schools back in the dark ages,
You're not that old.
Oh, you're so kind. You're so kind. But I'm excited because we still celebrate teachers in St. Lucie Public Schools, and through doing this show, we introduce them to our viewing audience. With that being said, would you give us a little bit about your background to introduce you to our audience?
Yes, so my name is Diane Hughes. I am third grade teacher this year. I was 8 years in first grade before that. This is my 9th year at Lakewood Park Elementary. Actually, before that, I went to school to be a lawyer. And I declined law school to become a teacher because that was my passion. And I learned that in all my elective classes.
Great, great. Ms. Melrose, your background?
Yes, so this is my first year as a Falcon principal at Lakewood Park. And it's my 6th year as a principal overall. And I just love the Lakewood Park Falcon family.
Well, they tell me that falcons fly high.
Yes, we do.
Okay, okay. So, Ms. Hughes, tell me, how did you feel when you first found out that you were the teacher of the year at Lakewood Park?
I was surprised, actually, because I didn't expect it, and I don't usually want to expect it, but it was very, I was honored, and I was speechless. I did cry to Miss Melrose, but, and I thank it to her, though, because she did bring my spark back this year. So, you know, and she believed in me, and she has just made such an impact at Lakewood Park Elementary that I was so honored to represent what she has done at our school.
So you majored in law first and declined law school to become an educator. How did that come about? Because in my mind, that means you didn't think that you always wanted to be a teacher.
So I used to work at like Boys and Girls Club, things like that, and then I went to college and I got my degree in political science, social science, and sociology, but all my electives were education. And it was, I was seeing how I was like, I don't want to study for the political science, and like the education was like, let's go, let's do. So my GPA was great because of my education classes, and I found out that that was where my heart was, so.
So I'm going to ask you to reflect, okay? And when you think about your educational career and your journey, is there someone that you think inspires you to do what you're doing today for children?
Yeah, there's 2 teachers that I went to high school. They were my high school teachers, and I still talk to them to this day. And they were actually the 3rd and 4th people that I called when I told them I got Teacher of the Year. And they just inspired me every single day. They believed in me. They supported me in anything I did. And they were just a person that I needed when I was going through things. They always showed that they cared at school and out of school.
Awesome. So, Ms. Melrose.
Yes.
Tell us what you witnessed when you see Ms. Hughes in action.
Oh, she's amazing. So when you walk into her classroom, you feel the energy, you see the energy. Kids are engaged, and the teacher's excited, which makes the kids excited. There's always something new going on in there. She doesn't hesitate to change it up. If something's not working and she needs to engage her kids more, she does it right on the spot, and she does it well. She knows her kids well.
What else might we find Ms. Hughes doing at school to, those other things that they do to help make school work?
What doesn't she do?
Yeah, okay, better question.
She is a part of every committee. She's a mentor. She is our DAC representative, so she goes to all the district advisory council meetings. She's our SAC representative. She's on faculty advisory council. She's on every committee. When we have our MLK committee, she's there. When we have our dance committees, she's there. So she's always there ready to jump in wherever she's needed in the school.
So Ms. Hughes, tell me, what advice would you give to a first-year teacher?
So I actually have one of my good friends as a first-year teacher on my team. And it was funny because it was a last-minute interview with Miss Melrose, but she felt what I felt. And I said, listen, I can tell you right now, teaching is not for everybody. You're going to go home and you're going to cry because you are sad, and you're going to cry because you're sad because you realize what you're doing. Like, they're happy tears. Like, you saw that aha moment with your student. And I was like, regardless, what you do every day matters, whether it's little or big. And I said, but you just have to believe in yourself because the kids need you to do that, and they want you to believe in them.
So tell me, when did you first fall in love with teaching?
When I was a preschool teacher. I did it as I like a daycare. I moved up, and then I became the VPK teacher, and that's when I realized that I was like, okay, this is the year that matters in preschool, and I saw what I could do with the students and how much it just meant to see them grow and have those aha moments. And I actually have a parent that I still talk to this day that I was her son's preschool teacher, and when she found out, she shared it all over her social media about me, and it just made an impact, Like, I just love children. I don't know.
No, that's great. You do know that. That's just who we are. That's who we are. Ms. Melrose, your turn. Describe Ms. Hughes for me using 3 adjectives.
We'll start with dedicated. Definitely her dedication and commitment to herself as a learner, because she always wants to know more and always wants to get better at her profession. And then her commitment to her team. She leads a team of 7, and that's a big team to lead, especially in your first year in 3rd grade, and she does it so well. And then she's definitely committed to the entire school community. So her dedication goes above and beyond. And then her passion, I know you can see it. She is so passionate about what she does. She cares. She cares deeply about the kids and about her subject matter. And then creativity. She's definitely creative. And like I said, when you walk in her room, if something's not working, she's gonna stop and figure out another way to teach those kids. So she's always looking for a way to reach each and every child.
Dedicated, passionate, and creative. So, Ms. Hughes, flipping the script, gonna think a little different. If I ask you to give me an educational hashtag that describes you, what would your hashtag be?
Hashtag always believe in yourself.
Always believe in yourself.
Yes, because I can go back to 2020, and that year changed me forever as an educator.
I think it changed us all.
I hand-delivered every single one of my students their supplies that year. And when I saw what they came from and what they did, but they still wanted to do their work because they believed in schoolwork, that made me become even a bigger believer in education.
Awesome. So what makes Ms. Hughes the perfect candidate for Teacher of the Year?
I think it's just her overall being the teacher that she is. She encompasses everything that makes a great teacher. The caring part, the believing in the kids, that's so important at Lakewood Park Elementary. And everything that she does and opens the door for those kids every morning and greets them every morning, she puts her whole self into it each and every day. That's what makes her amazing.
Let me ask you, Ms. Hughes, what is it that fuels you, drives you?
Those aha moments. Today I had one. I have retainees because I am reading endorsed, and I actually have 7 of my 1st grade babies in my class again with me, but one of them was struggling with regrouping with subtraction. And today we made a little song about it, how we got to go next door, and he sang it in his head, and he did a 3-digit subtraction all on his own, and he just was like, I did it. And it's those aha moments when they know they can do it.
That's great. You are the ambassador for education at Lakewood Park Elementary. You have an opportunity to share your message with many different people. What's your message?
Our message at Lakewood Park now is the students. Ms. Melrose has come in and done an amazing job making it all about our children, and from them feeling welcome every day to them not going hungry when they're at school or getting what they need and the care. And it's just the positive at our school and the feeling of everyone feels loved when they walked in those doors.
So Diane Hughes, Cassidy Melrose, thank you both for sharing with me. It's been a pleasure speaking with both of you, and congratulations on your selection as Teacher of the Year.
Thank you very much.
We are St. Lucie Public Schools. We are accoladed, recognized, accredited, merited. We are innovators, builders, career-driven, future-forward leaders. We are community-focused, partners, mentors, contributors. We are historic, unique, extraordinary, admired. We are champions, energetic, competitive, game changers. We are artists, dancers, designers, musicians. We are diverse, inclusive, collaborative, empowering. We are caregivers, protectors, supportive, attentive. Today's learners, tomorrow's leaders. We are St. Lucie Public Schools. We're excited at this time to welcome to our highlight special Leanne Willems, who's the wonderful Teacher of the Year at St. Lucie West Centennial High School. Welcome to our show.
Thank you, sir.
She's brought along my dear friend, the one that bosses me around and tells me what to do, the awesome, and as she would say, the proud principal at St. Lucie West Centennial, Andrea Popwell. Pop, welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited always to do this show. As a previous Teacher of the Year for St. Lucie Public Schools, I'm just happy that we continue to celebrate teachers, celebrate education and educators, and use this show to give our audience a chance to take a peek at some of our fantastic educators. With that, would you briefly introduce yourself to our viewers?
Sure. So, Leanne Willems, I teach at Centennial High School. I've been teaching for 17 years in the district and 14 years at Centennial. I teach the ACE Sciences, so Advanced Curriculums of Marine Science. Currently the program coordinator for that, and grades 10 through 12 mostly.
You said Centennial High School. I thought you were going to say the best school in the district. You didn't. Okay.
The best school in the district.
See, well, okay. I just wanted to make sure we were on the same plane.
We have to, yes.
It's okay.
Yes, well known.
Popwell, would you introduce yourself for me, please?
Yes, sir. My name is Andrea Popwell. I'm a very proud principal of St. Lucie West Centennial High School. I am starting my 17th year at Centennial. I began my work in education in 2000 at Port St. Lucie High School. I spent 6 years at Port St. Lucie. And then I transitioned into administration in 2006 at Centennial High School. 8 years as an assistant principal, and this is my 9th year as principal.
Again, ladies, congratulations and welcome to the show. So, Ms. Willems, tell me, how did you feel when you first found out that you were the Teacher of the Year for St. Lucie West Centennial?
Overwhelmed, honored, scared, really excited, really happy, very happy.
So, have you always known that you wanted to be an educator?
Nope, did not.
What were your choices?
Choices were everything, right? The whole world we have.
It's open to you.
I was majoring in biology. I finished my major in biology, but thought I would go off on a path in the sciences, medical school, research science, something like that. And in my genetics class, I was tutoring, and it was at that time tutoring in the genetics class that I realized I get this, I'm good at this, I'm a good communicator, I understand my content, and you get that intrinsic just light that glows, and you just, and that's when I knew.
So as you reflect back, do you think that you use any of the practices of a favorite teacher or someone that maybe inspired you along the way?
I don't.
You don't?
No. You know, I had a lot of, I went to Martin County High School, and that's why we're secret besties.
I see.
This is how it goes. You know, a lot of good educators throughout my careers in education, but no, just kind of my own.
So what's your favorite part of teaching?
The kids, hands down. It's the relationships that you build, it's the guidance that you give them, the opportunities, the consistency, the love. These kids are great. They really are. That's the best part.
So, Ms. Popwell, you have an opportunity to watch Ms. Willems in action every day. Share with us what you might observe.
It's really fantastic going into Ms. Willems' classroom. The students are always engaged. I went in her classroom earlier this year, and they were doing group work, and the kids were they're very excited to be in her classroom. You see a lot of love, a lot of attention. You can see that she's built relationships with her kids in those classrooms.
We know that Ms. Willems is involved in more than just instruction at Centennial. Share with us some of the things that we might find her doing.
Ms. Willems is also our ACE coordinator, as she explained earlier. She is over our Green Club. She's brought recycling to St. Lucie West Centennial High School, which has been very successful. And she is also our parent-family liaison.
Oh, that got a smile out of these Martin County people that came to the best district to work, but I won't bother that. When did you first fall in love with teaching?
When I had students in a classroom, when it all of those theories and practices and education all came together, and I don't want to say at the end of that first year, really at the beginning when you have those kids in front of you and it all begins.
So what advice would you share with a first-year teacher?
Love them, set boundaries, and be fair.
Cool, cool. Over the past few years, I think we all have had an evolution. How do you think you have evolved as an educator in the past few years?
That's a great question. Patience, understanding, grace. I think we all need that. And so when we have our kids, and I say kids, and they, these are our students, these are my kids too, right? And when we have them, we have to understand that they go through all these trials and tribulations that we do as well. So we need to offer them that time and that grace and evolve like that.
Powell, describe Ms. Williams for me using 3 adjectives and tell me why you've chosen those adjectives.
It's really hard to put 3 words. We were talking about this earlier. I could say she's kind, she's smart, she's compassionate, but I really feel like it simplifies who she is as a person. She's just an overall terrific human being. Ever since I've known her at Centennial now for 14 years, I feel like we're friends. She's a great colleague. She will do anything that's asked. I know when we went to her to ask her to be the ACE coordinator, she jumped on board without reservation. And it just really speaks to her commitment to Centennial and to her students.
Working in ACE, Ms. Williams, very unique role with some very unique students. But how do you overall see yourself helping students to be college and or career ready?
I don't know how to simply answer that. There's so many pieces to that. To prepare them, we could go down the path of academics. I mean, that's a given one, right? But we have to prepare them with limitations, right? We have to prepare them to be self-advocating for themselves, when there isn't going to be that teacher calling home and asking for support, and to help those kids with their pathways for helping them find resources and where to look for resources for guidance. I don't know, all those things.
Cool. In this day, post-COVID, your many years as an educator, what continues to drive you?
Oh, the love. It's pure love for these kids and humanity, right? We want a good world, but that comes down to our community. So if we start at the heart in our schools and in our community, that's really where the drive is.
Ms. Spotwell, what makes Ms. Williams the perfect candidate for Teacher of the Year?
She's very humble. And she has a tremendous impact on students. As you've heard her say over and over again, she truly loves students. And that is intrinsic to who she is. Just looking at her, like she gets teared up talking about kids. She just loves her job. And believe it or not, she drives to me from Indiantown every single day. And she has for 14 years.
Wow.
Because she loves her job.
I do.
And
Awesome.
she loves her kids.
Awesome. So, finish this prompt for me. I believe
in our people. I believe in humanity, and I believe in the goodness that is in everyone.
we expect the Teacher of the Year to have a message that they would give to persons that they may have an opportunity to speak with. Could be parents, community members, school board members. As the ambassador for education at Centennial, what's your message?
It's redundant, I keep saying it, but grace and compassion. Because with that, you can do anything.
Ladies, it's been a pleasure having this chance to speak with you. Thank you for joining me. Ms. Williams, congratulations on your selection as Teacher of the Year at Centennial. Best wishes for a wonderful year.
Thank you, sir.
We are St. Lucie Public Schools. We are accoladed, recognized, accredited, merited. We are innovators, builders, career-driven, future-forward leaders. We are community-focused, partners, mentors, contributors. We are historic, unique, extraordinary, admired. We are champions, energetic, competitive, game changers. We are artists, dancers, designers, musicians. We are diverse, inclusive, collaborative, empowering. We are caregivers, protectors, supportive, attentive. Today's learners, tomorrow's leaders. We are St. Lucie Public Schools.
Please help me welcome at this time to our Teacher of the Year highlight show, Tabitha Chin, the wonderful Teacher of the Year at Southern Oaks Middle School. Ms. Chin, welcome.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
She's brought along with her the amazing principal there, Mr. Brad Lehman. Mr. Lehman, welcome.
Thank you, sir.
It is a pleasure to have this opportunity to speak with both of you as we celebrate teachers here in St. Lucie Public Schools. By doing so, we take this show to introduce some of our teachers to our viewing audience so that they get a peek into some of the very dynamic persons that we have serving children and serving our community every day. So, Ms. Chin, with that being said, give us a brief introduction of yourself, the wonderful Tabitha Chin.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Perry. Well, my name is Tabitha Chin. I am currently a 6th grade teacher here in the wonderful St. Lucie Public Schools at Southern Oaks Middle School. Been here now my 5th year. I graduated from Lincoln Park originally, so I am originally a Greyhound, and then I did all of my collegiate years at Florida Atlantic, so I was also an Owl, but I've obviously upgraded to a Hawk.
Well, as we always do when we have a wonderful graduate of St. Lucie Public Schools come home, we celebrate that and let you know how excited we are that you would come back to your home to share with students. And I would be remiss if I did not say, go Greyhounds, okay? Mr. Lehman.
Sure. I'm in my first year as principal at Southern Oaks Middle School. This is my 3rd year as a principal. 16 years in education here in St. Lucie Public Schools. Started as a teacher at Treasure Coast High School and have worn a number of different hats and have been in a number of different roles in a few schools here. But I'm super proud to be leading our Hawks as we soar into the future.
Awesome. So, Ms. Chin, tell me, how did you feel when you first found out that you were the Teacher of the Year at Southern Oaks?
Oh boy, that was such a surprise and an honor. And Principal Lehman will tell you, I cried like a baby. It was really, I was astounded just by the overwhelming support from my peers and my students. And it's amazing. It's an amazing experience so far.
So tell me what subject you teach.
I'm a language arts teacher. Language arts has been my passion my entire life. Language and linguistics, so yeah.
So have you always known that you wanted to be a teacher?
Since the age of 5. It's literally my life story. My parents will explain it to anybody, but I've known since the age of 5. Right here, St. Lucie County, Village Green Elementary.
Okay.
Susan McGee was my teacher.
Cool. Thank you, Miss McGee. Speaking of Susan McGee, I was going to follow up with is there someone that you think inspired you to become an educator or even inspires you today to do what you're doing?
Along the way, I've had a lot of excellent teachers and leadership that have inspired me. Obviously, the first was Miss Susan McGee. But there have been so many great educators in my life that have inspired me to do what I do now. And just seeing their passion and drive for education fueled me along my way. And that's really why I have such a passion for education and wanting to teach students, to give them that same inspiration to learn and to grow and to possibly become future educators themselves.
And 6th grade, middle school, 6th grade, high school, thank you. I'll take high school any day. Mr. Lehman, you have the opportunity to watch the magic happen with Ms. Chin every day. Share with us your experiences.
Absolutely. Well, I can tell you that going into Ms. Chin's classroom, the first thing that jumps out is kids want to be there. They're engaged in their learning. They're excited about the things that they're doing. Some people, English language arts isn't always their thing. They don't like to write, they don't like to read, or that's not what they favor. But that's not the case in Ms. Chin's class. She's certainly an inspiration to her students. She's a relationship builder, which again, with her instructional strategies and her intention with engagement, she gets what she wants out of her students and helps them believe that they can do more than what they're doing.
To be the Teacher of the Year, we know that Ms. Chin is doing more than just going to her language arts room and teaching. Share with us other things that we may find her involved in.
Sure. Ms. Chin actually was one of the first teachers that I spoke with upon appointment to Southern Oaks Middle School. And in our discussion, we talked about leadership opportunities. That parlayed into her desire, or at least a discussion around a potential of her becoming, going into some leadership in our building. And so Ms. Chin serves as our 6th grade team lead. So she's the mother goose of all of our 6th grade teachers, and makes sure that they are where they're supposed to be. She has some new teachers that are under her belt as well as a mentor, and so she helps them kind of breathe a little bit, understand that every day is a new day, and that they too can do the same thing that she's doing, even in just 5 short years, as she mentioned, as a teacher. But she exemplifies what we want as a Hawk in our building.
Ms. Chin, what's your favorite part of teaching?
Absolutely the aha moments. I can't express the expressions that come over a student when the light bulb clicks. Seeing that aha is like magic. It's like Disney World. Everybody wants to get there. And when they get there, it just lights up the room and you're like, yes, you got it. Keep that momentum. I love the aha moments.
So as the mother hawk in 6th grade, what advice would you share with a new teacher?
With new teachers, just as Principal Lehman said, every day is a new day. I think especially now it's really important to understand that we're all in this together. Each day is a new experience. It's important to go with your best foot forward and to face it as not a challenge, but a new opportunity for growth, for yourself and for your students. And to take that and to build upon that and to be able to continue growing. It can be challenging being a teacher. Sometimes we can say it's like being thrown to the wolves almost, especially in middle school.
You saw me say middle school.
Right,
6th grade,
especially in middle school. But it most certainly is a growth process. And you've got to wake up and say, today's going to be a good day. And believe it. You've got to believe it. That's the key.
Okay. Mr. Lehman, describe Ms. Chin for me using 3 adjectives and tell me why you've chosen those 3.
Sure. Well, the first one, I think you can hear it in just a response to that last question. She's motivating. She not only is motivating to her peers, but she's motivating to her students. And that same advice that she gives to new teachers and using challenges as opportunities for growth, she uses that same type of motivation in her classroom. And so, when Ms. Chin is behind something, it moves. And that's, I think that motivation is what we need, especially in 6th grade, in our building. The second adjective that I would use is creative. She uses some out-of-the-box type of strategies and approaches to things in the classroom for the purpose of engagement, for the purpose of capturing that one aha moment that she mentioned. And it does take some creativity. It takes some risk, and she's not above taking those risks. And if it doesn't work, she picks herself up and she's like, oh, that didn't work that way. I'm going to try it this way. And so that creativity is certainly something that she brings to our building and our students every day. And the last adjective would be friendly. She has an infectious smile. She's always in a good mood, or at least that's the way that it appears. You're not going to catch her in a bad mood, or at least without that smile on her face. And that friendly demeanor is what kind of jumped out at me in that perfect fit for our sixth grade team in leading those teachers, again, with many new teachers under her belt, that need that smiling face, that reassuring smile that says, hey, we got this.
So, Ms. Chin, 3 adjectives from Mr. Lehman to describe you. If I ask you to share with me your educational hashtag, what would it be?
My educational hashtag. Hashtag that teacher.
Hashtag that teacher.
Yeah.
Further explain.
As he stated, I'm not afraid of taking risks. And as I said before, the way that education is set up now, the way that the world is set up now, we're evolving. The way that kids think has evolved. And so we've got to evolve with them. We've got to figure out where they are, meet them where they are, so we can get them to where they want to be. And so if that means, hey, you check out the latest anime, or you figure out what's the new movie, the new song, the new dance, because TikTok is a thing, we know that, You find a way to make it relatable to what they're learning. Now, don't get me wrong, sometimes they remind me that, Ms. Chin, that's kind of outdated. Okay? And so I don't always get them crossed exactly just right. But they roll with it, and we have a good time. And like he said, I always find it engaging. Just enough so that we say, all right, now, how do we apply that to what we're doing right here? And it usually leads to the, oh yeah, that's like, yes, that's exactly, especially for language arts, because everything is literary and informational, so they can always put the pieces together. So I'm that teacher.
That teacher. Mr. Lehman, what makes Ms. Chin the perfect candidate for Teacher of the Year?
I think that she showcased it here. She's someone that has lived almost her entire life wanting to go into education, wanting to lead and mold children, and understands and embraces the challenges that are set forth for us every day. She is certainly a beacon of light at Southern Oaks Middle School, and I think you would be pressed to find someone more deserving than Ms. Chin, just because of the things that we've talked about today.
So, Ms. Chin, you are the educational ambassador for Southern Oaks. You have an opportunity to share your thoughts about what's right, what's good, what's best in education. What's your message?
I think a lot of what I've said today is what I've expressed almost every day, and that's we've got to take each day as a new day. We've got to learn from what doesn't work, so you try an approach, you learn from it, you grow from it, and you keep moving forward. We've got to keep what we've known from the past, apply it to the present, and help us press forward to the future. And when it comes to our students, we've got to let them to also see what they're doing now also shapes what they're going to do and build on in their future as well. And so really, it's always about progress, not about perfection, but that we're always capable of building upon our progress. And that's what we're always looking for.
Ms. Chin, Mr. Lehman, thank you both for joining me today. Congratulations on your selection as Teacher of the Year.
Thank you.
Best wishes for just a splendid year.
Thank you so much, Dr. Perry.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yes.
We are St. Lucie Public Schools. We are accoladed, recognized, accredited, merited. We are innovators, builders, career-driven, future-forward leaders. We are community-focused, partners, mentors, contributors. We are historic, unique, extraordinary, admired. We are champions, energetic, competitive, game changers. We are artists, dancers, designers, musicians. We are diverse, inclusive, collaborative, empowering. We are caregivers, protectors, supportive, attentive. Today's learners, tomorrow's leaders. We are St. Lucie Public Schools.
We are pleased to welcome at this time Lauren Stedman, who's the wonderful Teacher of the Year over at Mariposa Elementary School. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, we're excited to be able to speak with you at this time. She's brought along her very dynamic principal, Miss Brooke Wigington, principal at Mariposa. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having us.
So, Ms. Stedman, tell me, how excited were you when you found out that you were the Teacher of the Year?
I was very excited. On a scale of 1 to 10, I was probably a 10. It is a huge honor. It feels really nice to know that the people at Mariposa that I work with every day thought highly of me enough to provide me with that nomination. So it felt really good, and I was very happy.
Great, great. Tell me this. Give our audience an opportunity to meet you. You know, we celebrate teachers here. As a prior Teacher of the Year for St. Lucie Public Schools, I get ecstatic every time we have an opportunity to do this show because it lets us give our viewing audience a peek at some of our wonderful teachers. So just a little bit about your background.
So this is my second year at Mariposa Elementary. I am an elementary school counselor. I worked previously in Osceola County School District for 3 years as an elementary school counselor. Before that, I'm from Pennsylvania, so I worked in an elementary school up there as a paraprofessional. I also coached a lot of soccer. So I went to school, played soccer while I was getting my education, coached soccer, and working in education.
Ms. Wigington, your brief introduction.
I've been in the county now for about 17 years. 13 of those is my 13th year in administration. I'm very fortunate to be at Mariposa for my first year there as their principal. Previously, I was at Port St. Lucie High School and at Okamic K-8.
So, Ms. Stedman, have you always known that you wanted to be an educator?
I don't think I did always know that I wanted to be an educator. I got my undergrad in history. I think I went into college and into higher education kind of uncertain about what I wanted to pursue and what path I wanted to take. I was very fortunate once I graduated with my bachelor's degree to be going through a period in my life where I was receiving a lot of counseling and talking to a lot of people. And it kind of showed me the importance of counseling and the importance of having somebody to talk to and listen and to be available. And things kind of aligned, and I was able to then go and get my master's degree in K-12 school counseling, and things kind of fell into place. And I think I ended up in a place in a career where I feel very fortunate and very blessed to be able to do things that align with my values.
When you think back, if I'm asking you to reflect, do you think you pattern your behaviors with students after a teacher that you might have had along the way?
If I think back, there is one teacher that comes to mind that had a huge impact on how teachers value relationships with students. There was one teacher in particular where I was a very shy student, and he took the time to get to know all of his students. And everybody in that middle school knew this teacher, and knew that this teacher did this, and knew that this teacher built relationships. And it was the first time that I felt seen and heard and acknowledged by a teacher. And now here I am 20 years later, almost 20 years later, and I remember that. And I remember that feeling. And I remember what it feels like to have that teacher know you and care about you. And that's what I want to be able to provide to students too.
So, Ms. Wigington, you have an opportunity to watch Ms. Stedman work every day. Share with us your observations.
One of the things that stood out the most when I first met her this year is she goes out of her way to learn every kid's first name. So I know that we have some new kids, but she really works hard because she knows how important it is for a student to be acknowledged and to be recognized by their name. So it's a very important part. She's really big on building relationships. I don't think there's anyone on campus that she doesn't have a good rapport with. So there is a crisis or something happening. She's just that person that anyone on campus to go to help a student.
So in your observations, you also know that she's not just dealing in that arena. She's doing 20, 30 other things.
Yep.
Share with us some of those things that we might find her helping with.
What's unique about Lauren is that I don't think there's a part of the school that she's not involved in. She leads our PBIS team. She's the leader of our MTSS. This year she's taken on a lead as a counselor because she's also mentoring one of our new swell counselors, and she's been doing an amazing job with that. In addition, she is, like I said, the person our teachers go to when they need help.
So, Ms. Dearman, tell me, what's your favorite part of being a counselor?
It's the students, but it's more what, obviously it's the students, it's what I learn from the students. It's what they teach me. It's not always, I make mistakes. Things don't always go right. I think I have a plan and then I realize that that didn't work, and I have to reflect on that and I have to learn from that and I have to grow from that. So I think it's the thing that I love most about this position is the back and forth. It's what the students teach me and what I can then learn from that situation and try to instill back into the students and into them.
So what advice do you share with first-year teachers or someone that may be thinking about becoming a teacher?
I think one of the most important things, and something that I still work on, is when you go home at the end of the day, you can get carried away by the setbacks that you had during the day and also the successes. And you can think and you can reflect and you can spend a lot of time on those subjects and on those things that went wrong or right. And it's important to do that, and it's important to reflect, but it's also important to then close that book and to let it go and to move on to the next day. So you don't want to get stuck in one thing that went wrong or one thing that went right. Reflect on it, close that book, move on to the next thing.
Over the years, last few years, we have witnessed a lot of changes in us all. How have you evolved as an educator?
In so many ways. I think it's the relationships. How do I build relationships with other staff? How do I build relationships with students? How do I improve at admitting when I'm wrong? How do I handle being wrong? Do I dig in and say, no, I'm right and I'm gonna be right? That doesn't lead to success and that doesn't lead to better relationships. And that takes time and it takes practice to be able to have a situation occur, reflect on it and say, this is how I went wrong this time and I wanna change it and I wanna do better next time. And I'm still working on it. I think we all are. And that's what I love most about the job is it teaches me so much.
Ms. Wigington, describe Ms. Dearman for me, please, using 3 adjectives.
Well, as you've already seen from the interview so far, she is very compassionate. She has a big heart and really does care about her students and her coworkers. Additionally, she's creative. I've worked with a lot of counselors at different age groups, and she really finds different approaches to help students. She really does take on extra areas if she needs to, or she assists, in building some of those programs or meeting their needs. And lastly, she's committed. She's truly committed to being a good school counselor, and she takes pride in what she does, as you've seen tonight, and she works really hard at being there for everyone at Mariposa.
Compassionate, creative, and committed. So I'm going to flip the script and ask you if you had to have an educational hashtag for Lauren Stedman, what would your hashtag be?
So my hashtag would be hashtag the patient committed ninja.
Sounds like a counselor to me. Patient, committed.
Ninja. You gotta do different things in order to meet the needs of the student. So that's what I would go with.
Okay, Ms. Wigington, what makes Ms. Dearman the perfect candidate for Teacher of the Year?
Honestly, I would have to go back to that adjective of commitment, because she's somebody that stands out on our campus for her leadership, for her caring for our students, going above and beyond to help her peers to also be able to be successful within the classroom, as well as helping our students at school and at home.
So, Ms. Stedman, we expect for the Teacher of the Year to be able to share with many different parts of our school community, our parents. What would your message be if you had an opportunity to give your spiel to someone?
As to why I'm the Teacher of the Year?
As all that's good about education,
Oh, well, there is so much opportunity, and every student can grow and evolve. Every student can learn and grow and evolve. And that happens in so many settings. It happens outside of school. It happens in sports. It happens in extracurriculars. But it also absolutely happens every day in the classroom, in PE class, in lunch, at recess. There are constantly opportunities for students to evolve and to learn and to grow. And if we do it together, if we do it as a team, we can see that growth from every student.
Ms. Stedman, Ms. Wigington, thank you both for joining me today. Congratulations on your selection as the Teacher of the Year. Best wishes for an amazing year.
Thank you so much.
We are St. Lucie Public Schools. We are accoladed, recognized, accredited, merited. We are innovators, builders, career-driven, future-forward leaders. We are community-focused, partners, mentors, contributors. We are historic, unique, extraordinary, admired. We are champions, energetic, competitive, game changers. We are artists, dancers, designers, musicians. We are diverse, inclusive, collaborative, empowering. We are caregivers, protectors, supportive, attentive. Today's learners, tomorrow's leaders. We are St. Lucie Public Schools.